You're welcome to the program at Top Story this hour. Metropolitan Archbishop of Cape Coast, Archbishop Gabriel Palmer Buckle, says there is a need for the Ghana Education Service to inculcate religious and moral education into STEM education if the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda is to be successful. According to him, the moral and religious aspect of the Ghanaian life must not be left to parents alone as well as religious bodies. He made this call on his opening submission at the Ministry of Information's Ghana Beyond Aid Forum held here in Accra.
Namely that the Ghana Education Service and the National Commission for Civic Education, the faith-based organizations as well as the civil society organizations be tasked to work out very pertinent syllabus and curricula on those fundamental values outlined here and how they can be inculcated into every Ghanaian from cradle to the grave. We need, in my opinion, systematic and sustained goals-oriented formation programs for these values. We need systematic and sustained goals-oriented formation programs for these values. Now, tackling head-on my topic, renewing our mindset and changing attitudes for our collective development, as you know, Charles Palmer Buckle, he has a patron saint called Bob Marley. And I believe we don't need just to renew our mindset, we need an emancipation from our mental forms of slavery of all kinds. None but ourselves can free our minds. And therefore it falls into Ghana Beyond Aid. We need a paradigm shift from our present mindset, our attitudes, and our behaviors. And to execute that is my next recommendation. When we look at the education curriculum, there is an appreciable emphasis on the sciences, on technology, on engineering, and on mathematics, the STEM. Unfortunately, there is not a concomitant or adequate emphasis on values and value formation. I think it is because we take it for granted. When I look at the universities, I would wish that as we emphasize the STEM, we should also equally emphasize the humanities and the liberal arts. Because as our president put it here, the STEM leads us to forming the hardware for development. The software for development can only be formed by the humanities, where we deal with the spirit and the soul of the person. So I would like to leave it at that. As we implement in Chapter 7 this document, I would like us to involve the universities and to involve the secondary schools and to involve coming down to the first cycle schools, and permit me to make a plaidoyer for what I call religious and moral formation. There is a very big vacuum created over there. Whilst we form people in their hardware proficiency, the software proficiency, namely values and virtue, we are losing sight of. And therefore, Jesus will say, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from God. It's just to say man does not live only by satisfying their material needs in the developmental motion, but particularly that which makes the person human in his or her relationship and in his or her use of these skills that have been bequeathed to him.
Archbishop Palmer Buckle there. We'll be taking you soon to Parliament, but before that, Foreign Affairs Minister Shelia Ikobocho is urging the United Nations to provide solutions to existing and emerging threats of conflict, terrorism, and other problems that continue to afflict the world. Speaking during a high-level virtual forum to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the United Nations on the theme, the UN Charter at 75, Multilateralism in a Fragmented World, she said it is important to energize and deepen cooperation with other countries in this coronavirus pandemic period in order to ensure recovery and rebuilding together.
Mr. Chair, there is no gainsaying that the fundamental principles of the United Nations have stood the test of time and remain relevant in tackling contemporary global challenges. However, we remain challenged by existing and emerging threats, including complex and protracted conflicts, terrorism, cybersecurity threats, climate change, shrinking biodiversity, financing sustainable development, and bridging the digital divide. The 75th anniversary of the United Nations should therefore be a time for sober reflection on the ability of our organization to provide solutions to these issues and to make it fit for purpose for the 21st century. Significantly, the international community is currently at an important crossroad in history. The economic, social, and humanitarian crisis resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic is a poignant reminder of the need for us to agree on the defining elements of our shared sovereignty, collective security, global solidarity, and global concerns. Ghana shares the view that this is the moment to energize and deepen international cooperation in order to ensure that we recover together and rebuild together.
Shelley Koboche is the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration at a virtual UN meeting yesterday. Now, 2 days after one person died in a drain here in Accra and others in other places, my colleague Nancy Mefa-Dradosi went back to Odona to find out how residents adversely affected by the floods are coping.
You live in this house. What's your name?
My name is Bright.
Bright. First of all, tell me what this is, because when I came, I thought it was just rubbish that had been packed outside. But what exactly are these?
Okay, these are some of the stuff from my room. So these are some of the dresses, my bed sheets, my pillows. In fact, this is some of the stuff in my room. I've thrown some of away, and these are the rest left, and these are still going to boiler. So we don't have anything left. This is what I have on right now.
Wait, I want to understand. You are saying that what you're wearing now is all that you have?
Yeah, this is the only dress I have on right now. Like my shoes, the shoes some are even gone, and these are like some of my sugar conco, like what I use for my provisions. You can see I have a little bit of sugar inside. These are some of the rubbishes, like. So these are what is this? These are my clothes, like my jeans. You can see this is like a correct dress I bought some time ago, like I think a week ago. So these are my clothes. Everything is gone. See, everything is gone.
So I want you to let's take a tour into your house and see how exactly bad the situation is in this home.
This is where my TV was. The TV is gone.
The ring to the TV?
Like it's broke, like it fell down. It's like a flat screen, so it fell down and broke.
Okay.
This is like the rice cooker, they were able to get it. This is where my home theater was.
And what's the home theater?
Oh, it's damaged. It's outside. When we go, I'll show it to you. And I was having my provisions and some other personal stuff, my documents, everything is gone. The wardrobe, this is my wardrobe. There's nothing in it. It's empty.
Okay, I see that my cameraman is trying to get into the place. But, okay, so this is your wardrobe.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing in
There's nothing in it. Nothing. We didn't get anything. Everything is gone. So we are starting life all over again.
How long have you been living here?
Okay, let me say I've been living here for the past 2 years.
2 years?
My brother, actually, my cousin was here. He was called Nana, and he left. Yeah. I was here before the June 3rd happened. So the June 3rd, we thought it won't go again. So, like, I took over because he has gone out. So I took over from here. Then since then, it doesn't actually happen. So, like today, this is the level of the water. This is
Show me.
The level of the
wow, this is actually the level of the water that entered the room, and this is really disturbing and quite surprising. So where did you sleep? Where did you sleep this past few days? Where have you been sleeping?
Oh, we have just been hanging around. Okay, so somebody gave me a car to use for a Uber. So when the whole thing started, actually it was not raining. The place got flooded before the rain came. You get it? So we have to rush the cars out of the house. So I think, okay, so we have like the car. So we sometimes we sleep in the car or we hang outside till the next morning. Like yesterday like this, we were just hanging outside because we don't know what actually is happening. So,
from that rather sad situation, we met even worse elsewhere. I stand here and I overlook quite a number of houses around, and I still see that they still have clothes and mattresses on their walls. Some of them have hanged their clothes on the line, others have this on the wall. That's a mattress on the wall. And you can see the water marks and the water level on the wall. You can see that it actually covered the wall because you can actually see a higher water level in that particular house. But something caught my eye when I got to this neighborhood. I realized that a church has had its wall broken. We'll enter the church briefly. But even at the entrance of the church, you'd see that there are bowls and buckets with clothes in them, I believe, are for the church keepers or the church watchers. And so let me just try and enter and find out how terrible the situation is, because on the outside it looks really, really bad. I see that a lot of things are happening here. What exactly happened on Monday?
Oh, Monday. That time I'm in the work.
Okay.
Or the Tuesday I come. My sister, they say that the day here, the water full up the wall. If you see the wall, full up. The pressure push the wall, or the wall fall down. Or that time the wall fall down. The day here, or the water they come, or the soldiers they pass. The canoe they pass. No, they shout. No, they call them. Come and see that the canoe they take them go there, and there's chemistry, the top there.
Wow. All right. So there's a video I'm showing you now, and that's the canoe on the water, trying to rescue people from the neighborhood. People were trapped. So the sister is on the phone. We'll get to speak to her shortly, but she was here to witness it all, and so we'll speak to her. But if you can briefly take me around, she'll come and answer for the clothes and the other things. But let's talk about inside. What exactly has happened in the church room?
Oh, our machines. Oh. The water spoil our machine.
Can we enter just the levels, if that's okay? Okay. All right. So this is the church auditorium. First of all, see, I see something quite interesting. I see that the speakers have been affected, and this is quite bad.
Yeah. The water spoiled the speakers, the machines, and profile we have. Yeah, spoiled.
So do you want to believe that the water level actually reached the speakers?
Yeah. If you see the level.
Wow.
You see the level.
So how much damage has this caused? The other equipment, were they affected?
Oh, the machines and the drums, and the speakers, yeah, spoiled.
The drums and the speakers and everything?
Everything.
Wow. Did you have church service on Sunday?
On Sunday, I know how sure we do.
But wow, so the sockets, the equipment.
Yes.
I see that even the Bibles they are wet and cannot be used. So what happens now? What is going to be happening?
Now we don't know the thing we do. Now we do. Sister Yapemwa, government omutumin boy, me the American say, Odon, Emudo, necessary every 3 months. 3 months, as I say 3 months, be a yim. Say a yimwa, in Sonu Betmania, coin, na ako. Yen yim, a man not see any ball, any yamana or Modigu. It was a Modiguma, saying so to Kakrapeno, na. I
think here, if we pass here, we'll be able to check how terrible the wall fell, because it's quite closer to us. Wow. So this is a high-level wall that has been brought down by the rains that came down on Monday. You were here. Just tell me. They catch me. They uwaha. Una na uwaha. Then they see. Then they see her. Then I was say one boo ye. Then they see her. Now what Monday no. Then they see her.
Remember my dakra abronsanu. My be one. My dad no from but me this me sorry. Now so me look what na ma. But me sorry yeah. It's yet me see me some nyama bi me share sim dey cause no dey me ho anu. It me kotare sa war on we do on. Me ho a war we so next of the nail po. You just so 4 hours. Not so near, not so near, but no cost eh. And Chabia, ya film ya nail soon, bumpire, about one now boat for when so that for any boat, Pamba fire, Pamma Cossia, got you answer by sister Sinyama out tonight, that's yes, Sinyama. But the Tuesday, my senior master out to now. If the Monday,
a very serious thing to see. So she's basically just sharing how it happened. She said she was asleep and her neighbor woke her up to see what was happening. She woke up and the water level, was a bit high. But later she heard the wall fall, and that is where the water rushed into the church. Anything I saw you do here, if you can show me.
Drew me her.
Wow.
I had a dream here. Miss Pa. Me, oh, stop. As soon as me bump, me first one. On so could I to I've been 1 year. Now, Bagus 4 years, me this Michi.
Oh.
Any stab could be so on.
So she's telling me that the water level was up to her stomach level or her waist level, and she was scared because she was here with her daughter who also had another a baby, and so it was quite a terrifying experience for them. So for these people, they've seen it before, but always every year comes with a different feeling. And she says all she kept doing was praying and crying and seeking and asking for help until she saw a little boat coming, and then she was able to board it to safety.
Nancy Emefa-Jadosi filed that report. Now, how it goes to you if you lost your things? Hopefully, the NADMA will respond to you in due time. Right now, let's throw the spotlight on COVID-19. Health officials at the East Municipal Hospital's COVID-19 treatment center in Accra are expressing worry about the increasing cases of symptomatic cases of infection. It has now been confirmed that more COVID-19 positive persons are being hospitalized because, unlike before, many more of them are now falling sick from the virus. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, has more.
The country has recorded up to around 300 cases on a daily basis, many of these showing symptoms of the infection, contrary to how the virus has behaved in the past 2 months.
It's important that we continue to maintain the infection prevention control practices, using our face masks, washing our hands frequently, not touching our faces without washing our hands, keeping to the social distance protocols. When we do all these things, we will see fewer and fewer cases. Now, what we realize is more people are getting ill from COVID-19. We used to see a lot more asymptomatic persons in the past, but now we are seeing more symptomatic people now, which is a worry. It shows that more people are staying home till they are really ill before they present to the health facility and are diagnosed with COVID. So again, if you are home and you have a fever, you have a cough, you have difficulty breathing, please don't just stay at home or buy paracetamol from the drugstore. Get to a health facility, get the appropriate clinical diagnosis, and if it's COVID, we can start treatment early so that you can have a full recovery.
JoyNews understands all treatment centers in Accra are now stretched, and some health professionals who've tested positive have been told to go to Cape Coast for treatment. Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Abwaje, however, denies this.
Currently, as at the last time, Ghana East has a capacity of 100 beds. As at 2 yesterday, we had about 62 patients there.
But pharmacist and fellow at the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. Kwame Asiedu-Sapong, says he has information to support the report that the country's health systems may be indeed stretched.
We are hearing that more people are coming to hospital with symptoms.
Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, filed that report. Fred joins me here in the studio. But in Parliament, the minority has been speaking about this situation. They want government to immediately resume construction of abandoned treatment centres and other health facilities to deal with the increase in numbers. Kobna Minta Kando is minority spokesperson. He will join me, but like I said, our health desk head is here. He put together that report. Fred, you put in the report that the Ghana Health Service has denied the fact that the health centres or the treatment centres are stretched. What is their argument?
Well, the Ghana Health Service is only clarifying what the information is. What they say is that the isolation centers, that's where we put people who are asymptomatic or people who are not that sick but have tested positive. They keep those people there while they wait, they go on their medication until they fully recover and then they're let go home. But those who test positive and show symptoms and are very sick have to be kept in the treatment centers where you have medical professionals throughout the day, 24 hours, monitoring their situation, helping them with medication and helping them to recover. And so it is the treatment centers that are stretched as we speak. The isolation centers, it follows logically that if we are getting more persons, as you heard from the medical director for the East Municipal Hospital, that a lot of people are now coming up with symptoms. They test positive and they have the symptoms, and so they will not be taken to the isolation centers, they will rather be taken to the treatment centers. And it is the reason why we're now having a lot of people who have tested positive and have been taken to the treatment centers, bringing pressure to bear on these facilities.
But we also know that some of the health professionals themselves have also contracted the disease. Some of them have had to stay at home whilst they wait for the result of their tests. And we heard the doctor in your report saying that more people were coming up who were asymptomatic, but we're seeing people turn up with symptoms. Does it mean that people are waiting much longer at home before reporting, or does it just mean that the dynamics of perhaps the virus has changed?
Well, that's the initial suspicion, that people stay at home when they find the symptoms such as the cough, the fever, the other things, the difficulty in breathing. They don't immediately report to the health facilities until their situation is worse, and then they go. It's one side of it. It's possible that the virus may also have changed in the way it behaves, and so a lot more work will have to be done. As we speak, they want everybody to immediately report, at least if even the virus has changed the way it behaves, then you can be helped once you are in a health facility.
Fred, thank you very much for this information. Fred Smith is head of our health desk there, bringing us more of that information. I want to take you, like I said, we'll go to Parliament, we'll hear from the minority, but right now I want to take you to the Central Region, where correspondent Richard Kojonyako has been monitoring events at the Winneba Trauma and Specialist Hospital, where about 45 nurses have been asked to go home and self-isolate pending the outcome of their COVID-19 results. Richard Kojonyako joins me on Zoom. Hello, Richard.
Hi, Gifty.
Richard, so what is there to report on the back of this? 45 nurses asked to stay at home when the cases, the number of cases is rising.
Well, so at the moment, 2 units of the Trauma and Specialist Hospital here at Winneba have been closed down. This is because they received a man who is a COVID-19 patient, but until that time that they tested, the test result came out, they didn't know, and there was no holding bay at the hospital, we are told. The hospital has been designated as a COVID-19 treatment center by the Regional Health Directorate. And so the man used the Accident and Emergency Center and a male ward until the test result came that proved positive. And so the man has been sent to the treatment center, but all the health officials that attended to the man or who were exposed as a result of this have been asked to go home to self-isolate. But they have some concerns that they have families in the house, they also have associates, they go out. So telling them to self-isolate means that they should move from their family apartment and then go elsewhere. But it is not clear whether they have a place for them to keep them, for them to do the isolation until their test results come. Secondly, they also say that the test results, it takes a very long time for their results to come. So by the time the results are in, they might have also exposed other people and even exposed themselves. Some of them might not even be positive after all, but might expose themselves or expose other people as well. And so these are their concerns. But the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association is telling or is asking the health professionals to stay safe. And they have been complaining of the absence or inadequate PPEs. They say that the cloth mask is not helping matters, because before these people are given these masks, they might have been exposed or they might have encountered other people that come to the facility.
So as we speak, where are they? Are they at home? Have they found a place for them?
Well, so the directive is that they should go home to self-isolate. So no place has been found for them. And so that is what it is now. They are going to their respective houses, but they said they knew that they would have been taken elsewhere to do the isolation, knowing very well that they have families and other people that they would even come into contact with.
Richard, what sort of response do we have from people who live within this area and also from behind the scenes, even the health authorities themselves?
Well, it runs through. I mean, we've been recounting the number of health officials that are in the central region that have been affected. At the Mfantsiman municipality, close to 40 health staff have tested positive for the virus. At the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, close to 40. You go to Elmina, close to 30. You go to Erim, close to 20. You go to Mori, close to 20. And so the number of cases keeps going up, and it's really a huge concern for them. And if care is not taken, the entire health facilities in the region might be grounded as a result of this one, because when one of them is affected, then they would have to take steps to do contact tracing. And sometimes they even say that when their contacts are mentioned, because they know that if they ask such health officials to do self-isolation or to go to mandatory isolation, the entire facility or the unit would have to be closed down. Sometimes they allege that their test results are withheld or they unnecessarily delay. So by the time these results are in, then a lot of them might have succumbed to the virus already.
Very disturbing one there. Richard, thank you for that update. So I'll tell you where else there is there's a similar issue, where else the number of infected people just keeps rising. It's the Western region being considered or referred to now as the epicenter. Takoradi. We'll be getting to Ina Natalia Kwanza. Takoradi and Takwa, I should say. We'll be getting to Natalia Kwanza for her to give us more. But there are concerns about the minority is raising concerns about how government is handling them. They want more done. Kwabena Minta Kando is ranking member on Parliament's committee. But first, let me talk to Joseph Opoku-Gapo, who is in Parliament. Joseph, what exactly does Mr. Kando say?
He lays out a number of issues and claims that government is mishandling the ongoing conversation around dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. He says that with the rising cases of those who are showing symptoms, they're the minority. They believe that it's getting to a time when the health facilities and the general health infrastructure will be overwhelmed to the extent that it will not be possible for them to actually cater for the number of cases. And to quote him, there'll be dead people on the streets. Those are some of the words that Mr. Kando uses. He makes the point that they had been drawing government's attention to the need for government to actually complete what they say have been abandoned health facilities that the NDC was actually undertaking, but government didn't do that. Otherwise, those facilities could have now provided centers that could have been used for isolation and all. They say that they had recommended that government undertakes aggressive, massive testing so that then even in different parts of the country, people who are asymptomatic, government would ensure that they are tested so they don't end up spreading that. They say government hasn't done that. And as far as Kwabena Minta Kando is concerned, government has given up when it comes to the fight against COVID-19, and that currently it's everyone for himself and God for us all, which he says is very much out of place.
As we speak now, these are the updates as far as the COVID-19 is concerned. Now we have recorded not less than 10,201 cases and about 3,000 755 recoveries, and we have about 48 deaths. For now, all 16 regions in Ghana now have recorded cases of COVID-19. And we think that the persistent increase in the number of COVID-19 infections in this country is evidence to the minority's position that the MPP government is not handling the management of this pandemic properly. President Nana Akufo-Addo has not listened to the many experts' advice to be conscious about the lifting of restrictions on the COVID-19. There are emerging signs that the health system will soon be overwhelmed by this pandemic. And I'll give you a typical example. The medical director of the Ga East Treatment Center has been reported to have stated that the hospital has begun to receive many symptomatic patients as compared to the initial asymptomatic cases, that those who are showing signs of COVID-19 are becoming more than those who are not showing signs. This is contrary to the government's position that they are doing well in testing and actively identifying people who are asymptomatic. So in the initially, government said that they were recording more people who are not showing signs of COVID-19, and therefore they are moving ahead of the virus. Today, as I speak to you now, and per the example I've stated, we are recording cases of patients who are showing symptoms more than those who are not showing symptoms. And we think that it could also mean that we have moved from a phase of the infection where people presented as asymptomatic and did not need much treatment to a phase of a phase of people presenting to treatment centers with symptomatics and would require much interventions. This situation will overwhelm our health system, and mortalities will go beyond the 48 cases. So if you are not very careful, very, very soon, our health system will be overwhelmed as we move to more people showing the symptoms of COVID-19. It has also been reported that 24 health workers have been tested positive for COVID-19 in Infantima municipality, which has affected the staff strength of the directorate. And so we think that government should therefore move beyond lifting of restrictions for political gains and then listen to advice by public health experts on the management of COVID-19 in this country. There should be more action on the ground than the political propaganda. And we think that more resources must be pumped into the combat of COVID-19, especially the resources from COVID-19 fund, should be prudently used to strengthen the health system and ensure that the pandemic is adequately controlled. We think that government at the moment has left all of us to our fate, and there are no pragmatic measures in place to combat this particular virus. And so, looking at the trend, if we are not very careful, at a point in time, we will see more dead bodies in the streets, just like we saw in other countries. Now people are moving about doing their normal duties as though there's absolutely nothing at stake, and it is dangerous for this country. Government has shifted its attention to other issues rather than concentrating on the fight against. As I speak to you now, there is no education going on whatsoever in the rural communities. No education. The minister responsible for information and few ministers appear on our screens to do propaganda, and that ends it. I think that a government who is proactive when the incident happens should have moved ahead of the virus. In the regions and in the districts where cases had not been recorded, government should have moved in there swiftly to begin testing. But as we speak, almost every region has recorded cases of COVID-19. We think the propaganda is enough, and government owes us a responsibility to protect lives in this country. I thank you all.
So that's the Kwabena Minta Kando, the ranking member on Parliament's Health Committee, or the minority spokesperson on health. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is still with me on Zoom. Joseph, so usually, and the trend that we have seen recently is that when the minority organizes such a press engagement, the majority quickly responds. Has there been a response? Okay, looks like Gakpo, you're on mute. Unmute your mute button for us so we can hear you.
You are very right. I just did that. Thanks very much, Gifty. So we trying to track down the chairman of Parliament's Health Committee, Dr. Kwabena Chumniama, in order to get the necessary responses from them. But we've been interrogating the claims that Mr. Kando has actually been making, asking him to clarify what he meant by his point that there will be more dead bodies and all. And he's been insisting that they think that with the rise in symptomatic cases, that is not something that government had been telling the public until the public health officials came out with those specific details. And for him, looking at the fact that there aren't enough available health infrastructure facilities, despite the advice that they say they give to government to complete various projects, so there are enough of those, then the health system will struggle in order to contain this particular situation. We've also been asking them about what they intend to do right here in Parliament, because as the people's representative, and the House which continues sitting, what will they be doing? And they indicate that they would be getting officials from the Health Ministry to come in to respond to questions on what is being done about the case of the rising symptomatic cases, so that then Ghanaians will be better protected. So I'm sure.
Yeah, looks like the internet gave up on us over there. But Joseph Opoku-Gakpo there, hopefully he'll be able to join us for the wrap-up comments. But Mr. Akando, yeah, Joseph, you're back there. Mr. Akando has also been talking about the Minister of Health. Exactly what does he say?
In that, as far as the other minority are concerned, himself and other government officials have not been truthful in terms of getting the right information on what is happening with COVID-19 to the Ghanaian populace. And he says that going forward, they would be trying to raise the issues on the floor of Parliament for an effective debate, so that then they would be able to hold government to account on what its plans and methods are as far as dealing with COVID-19 are concerned.
People test positive, they go to another facility, and none of the 70 people test positive. These are dangerous signs. So please, with a greater degree of respect, we are all affected. Didn't you hear in the media, you people, didn't you report that there are members of Parliament who have tested positive? When we started saying that they should do screening before we start coming, what didn't they do to us? They took us to the cleaners. At the end of the day, the Speaker upheld that particular position. We even said that, look, let us be monitoring proceedings from our offices and moving as and when necessary. We said that we can close down Parliament and move in when there are emergency issues. What are we discussing on the floor of the House? That is so important and it's of emergency nature that we should be sitting in the midst, endangering our health.
What do you think has shifted government? How do you feel somebody who says your prediction that there will be dead bodies on the street is actually a prayer? What do you say to that person?
It can never be a prayer. I have always consistently been telling you that I would in the health sector, since I became the ranking member of the health sector, I've consistently been telling you that I do not want to be vindicated. And it is something I have stood by all this while. It is never my prayer that I have. About 3 days ago, I was consistently calling a friend who helps me in one way or the other. He was not picking my phone. 4 days later, he called me to tell me that, Honorable, I'm very hot. I've been affected. He lives with people who have tested positive. Am I not indirectly affected? So why would I wish that dead bodies must be seen in the street? No, I will never want, and I don't want to be vindicated. But you see, I want government to prove me wrong. Let them insult me. Let them take me to the cleaners and do the needful. I'm okay with that. If they had listened to all that, you are my witness. Since day one, when we started telling government that, look, show the highest commitment, and they were insulting us, they told us that since the minister responsible for health has spoken, that was enough. Since day one. Give me one particular suggestion that hasn't come true, including the evacuation of students, Ghanaian students in Wuhan. So please, it is never my prayer, and that can never be my prayer. Never, never, far from that. But then, if we are not very careful and we sit as if God loves us more than any other person in this world, we will laugh at the wrong side of our mouth. Let's put pressure on government to do the needful. I can only talk and draw government's attention because we are in opposition. That is our responsibility. I'm performing my duty. But government holds public space to put those resources to judicious use.
What do you think has shifted government's resources?
Oh, gee, okay.
Honorable.
Yes.
What do you think has
They have nothing more to add. Okay, so they have left it to our fate. Okay, the number that can die, let them die. After all, didn't you hear government saying that, oh, COVID-19 has come to stay? That is the impression. They manage the information, they don't manage the virus. They try to put certain things in our minds, but they are actually not managing the virus.
And just to add to that, see, it's a confirmation of the
managing the information, not managing the virus. That's how Mr. Kandel puts government intervention so far. Joseph, what else happened in Parliament? If it's COVID, it's okay. If not, we can move on to the next issue.
So mainly on the presence of Parliament, that's where the conversations around COVID has been happening. On the floor itself, there was a statement in connection with the death of George Floyd in the US and claims of racial abuse and all. There was a statement by Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, the minority spokesperson on foreign affairs, that also had contributions from Ras Mubarak, the Kumbungu MP, Haruna Idrisu, the minority leader, and Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, the majority leader. All of them essentially condemning the killing of George Floyd and urging the United States of America to take the necessary measures to ensure that they reform their police force and reform themselves as a society. And even citing some of the MPs citing their own experiences being abused racially in different parts of the world. And at the end of it all, there was a 1 minute silence here in Parliament House for George Floyd and his departed soul. So that's mainly what has been happening beside issues having to do with COVID-19. And we've also gotten the first Deputy Majority Whip, Matthew Nyindam, responding to the Supreme Court verdict earlier today and the directive that the NDC withdraws their case having to do with pulling brakes on the registration and dealing with the matter having to do with the voters register. For him, it's an indication that the main case itself, when the court rules eventually, the NDC would lose, and that he doesn't understand why they went to court in the first place.
So thank you very much, as usual, for always giving us the comprehensive details of those stories. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, joining me from Parliament with the latest occurrences there. I want to take a quick break, but when I return, we'll tell you about how how much of an exclusive access we had to the burial of persons who died of COVID-19. Komla Adum was our man embedded with the team. We tell you what we saw. So for those of you who think that COVID-19 is not real, we got you the evidence. We'll be right back. Hello back. Thank you for staying with us. Today we continue with this series of investigations into the backgrounds and vision of some of the NPP candidates or some of the candidates contesting in the upcoming NPP primaries. I beg your pardon. We'll ask the candidate, like I always say, to share their vision and convince you to vote for them, not only in the primaries but in the national election contest itself. So yesterday we spoke to the executive director at the National Commission on Culture, Janet Edna Nyame, who is contesting the incumbent Krobna Ochre Dako, who also doubles as the regional minister. So Mr. Regional Minister joins us via Zoom. Sir, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so we know that you are the regional minister. We know that you are the MP. You want to be the MP for the Takrady constituency. Tell us a bit more about you. Who is Mr. Ochredako?
Kobna Ochredako currently is the MP for Takoradi, a student of KNUST and UCC. I introduced internet to the Western Region broadband. I also was the executive director for Maggie Hotels. I worked as an assemblyman and FNA chairman for the Metropolitan Assembly of Secondary Takoradi from 2001 to 2008, and increased our revenue by 1,000% in that period. So I'm an action man, somebody that believes in work. I'm not lazy about any work that is given me. I won my first elections in 2008 and became an MP in 2009 to date. And ever since I won my primaries, I've consistently been increasing my vote because I have the connection with the people. I do a lot of grassroots work. I love my people. And whatever they ask me to do for them, I don't disappoint. So that's what we are trying to do to continue to make Takoradi greater and stronger. And that's what we'll continue to do every day. And that's what we want to do again after we've been elected again on the 20th of June for Takoradi.
So what you say you do is to listen to your people and provide for them their needs. I want you to, if you can give, I was going to say one, but I realized that one will limit you. Perhaps you have done more. Give us, say, 3 key things that you have done since you became Member of Parliament for the area, which you believe, and the results show that it has really impacted the people.
Yes, ever since I became a regional minister, I have organized free vacation classes for our junior high and senior high schools consistently for the last 10 years. I've been able to put up, with the help of Get Fund and other sources of revenue, a lot of schools from kindergarten to whatever. We are also currently building a first Islamic secondary school in the Secondary Takoradi metropolis. So we've done a lot for our people. If you come to one of our poorest areas or deprived areas, we are doing a lot of paving just to make sure that the dust does not create a lot of lung problems in our communities. So we've done a lot of projects, a lot of them. I can't recount all of them. Sometimes I forget some of them, but we've done a lot in the community.
Okay, so I'll put it together as 3. I'll add the first one you indicated. You said you brought broadband to the region, so I'll add that to what you've said. So broadband, free vacation classes for 10 years consistently, and liaising with Get Fund and other sort of sources of funds to build schools. You talk also about the...
And an hospital. We are currently building a 60-bed hospital in New Takoradi. All our roads in Takoradi are now on contract, and the contractor is on site working. It's finished mostly part of the overlays, and is now going into the reconstruction areas as well.
Okay, so if you live in Takoradi, or if you are in the Takoradi constituency, I want to hear from you, and I'm sure that your MP and your minister wants to hear from you as well. Send us a message right now, and I'll read it to him. Make sure that you do it before we get him off, because this session is not meant to last for too long. So, first of all, I want to find out how you feel about. I know that it's Secondary Takoradi that we're told has become.
No, Takoradi proper.
No. I'm just coming to make a point that we understand that that's the area where there are increasing numbers, there are increasing cases of COVID-19. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very correct.
But that's very close to you as well. You talk about building a hospital. What have you done? Or what has the area done to contain the spread of the disease? We are told that it's becoming an epicenter in the Western region.
Yes, I agree. First and foremost, we are having difficulties with the spread because it's not community. Initially, it was imported cases, but ever since the imported cases came, some of them were still staying in compound houses, and we're having community spread. If you look at the Takwa area, you know, a lot of the subcontractors come from Takwa, Obuasi, to come and work in the same mining industry in Takwa. Right. So that's where the initial import came from. For Secondary Takoradi numbers, it's because of the regional hospital. So they virtually represent everybody who goes to the district hospital and end up there. So that's why we're also seeing the numbers there. But apart from that, I believe that so far we are enforcing nose mask. We are enforcing washing of hands. I mean, the protocols, we are enforcing them. And we believe that a lot of our people would voluntarily go through these processes, because we all know that this virus does not have a cure. And therefore, it is very important that people play it safe. And we have been encouraging them. Today, I was at the Regional House of Chiefs to engage them and ask them to put their voice to the enforcement of these protocols of wearing nose masks, washing of hands, social distancing, closing of bars, and the rest. So basically, that's what we are trying to do to make sure that it does not continue to further spread. And then we used to have a difficulty with our testing. I mean, initially we were doing the testing in Noguchi. We brought a testing center to Takrady. Yesterday we got an additional machine, and we believe that we should be able to test more quicker so that we can be ahead of the virus, so that we can know exactly other alternatives that we can put in place to minimize the spread.
So I'm wondering, yesterday I spoke to your contender. There are people within the NPP who have been allowed deliberate attempt to make them go unopposed. Why do you think the party didn't do the same for you, but has allowed someone else to contend with you over the seats that you've won for the same party?
The NPP is a democratic process. The person contesting with me had done so. This is not the first time. He did once in 2008, came back in 2010, and it's now come back. And our votes have consistently risen. So under normal circumstances, you know that if somebody, I've seen the trend, naturally would have not been contesting. But you know, in Ghana, people contest elections for so many reasons. Some of it for envy, some of it to project themselves so that when we win power again, maybe they'll be seen. People do it for so many reasons. So I believe that there's no issue at all. For us, we are ready to contest, because every 4 years we have put ourselves up to contest, and I don't think that this is a different case.
Are you saying she's contesting you out of? Are you saying she's contesting out of envy or out of projection?
I'm saying that people contest for different reasons. Okay. So I'm giving you some of the reasons why people are contesting.
I just want to clear that out, so there are no doubts.
Oh, okay. Yes, there are no doubts. People contest for so many reasons.
But that's not what you're saying she's contending. That's not the reason why you say she's contending with you. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, we went there into the deep freezer, but I'll try and raise him back. My producers are working to defreeze him. Okay, so we have him back. Our Honourable Member of Parliament, we lost you briefly. I was saying that I just wanted to clear it out. You know, these days you put, and we put this video on social media for people to see what their MPs are saying. And so I just want to clear that out so that people don't misconstrue.
Yes, what I'm saying, that people contest for different reasons.
But that's not what you're saying. There is the reason why she's contending with you.
I don't hear you well.
Okay, I'm saying that you're saying you're just putting, this is a general picture, that people have reasons why they contest, but you're not saying that she's contending with you out of envy or because she wants to project herself, just in case the party wins election.
Yes, but generally people contest out of different reasons, and these are some of the reasons why people contest. So I don't think that is a major issue.
No, it's not a major issue. It's something you have said in this conversation, and I just want to clear it up.
Yes, and I've said it. And I've said it. I don't know her intentions, but I'm telling you that there's reasons why some other people contest.
Do you feel that she's envious of you?
I can't tell.
Okay. Yesterday when I spoke to her,
I think that the type of campaign she's doing will determine whether what she's doing is of good heart or it's not of good heart.
Okay, but for now, it's not good. It's not time, you don't have enough time to make that determination with what she has done so far.
Not at all.
You would have wished she didn't contest you.
I've never said so anyway, because I've always contested. People have always come to contest me. So it's not an issue at all.
Would you have wished that she didn't, so that it would be a smooth way for both you and the party in general?
Oh, there's nothing wrong with me. This is a democratic party. I've always been ready to contest anybody who wanted to contest me.
Very well.
So I'm ready. with the contest, yes.
You indicated that the things that you have done includes, you say you're an action man, vacation classes. It looks like you have a focus on education, which is great, amazing. But does it mean that sometimes the people go through education and they still don't get the end product of education, if you like, not just to open up your mind, but to get you employed, gainfully employed? I've heard some bites from Takoradi where people have said, what's the education? What's the education is key, and then the person goes on to say, yeah, I go school now, but politicians they change the padlock now. So he says education. They say education is key.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I've also seen that. Advert on Facebook.
Right. It's from JoyNews.
I believe that when it comes to jobs, it's one area all the young men in Takoradi knows that I've been focusing on for a very long time. We've helped people get into various occupations, but the numbers are large. I mean, in Ghana, about 300,000 people complete school every year. When you add the NVTIs and the side work, it might be about 300,000. So naturally, there's a demand for jobs and opportunities. My focus has always been to encourage more private sector people to create more opportunities and create more jobs, because that's the only solution that we can get as a country. I mean, if you take even China, that calls themselves communist states. Recently, they called themselves a capitalist state with Chinese characteristics. If you go to UK, US, Australia, Denmark, wherever, all these countries have developed because of the private sector. So I also always encourage people to look at what they can do to start up businesses. In fact, if you take last year, we worked with NEIP to train a lot of young men and women to be able to get their own jobs. Currently, as I speak to you, we'll finish with our designs, and we are now going to start building what I call the Takoradi Incubation Center at Beach Road. They've gone to clear the land, and very soon we will start building up so that people can go in there, incubated, raise funds, expand their projects, and more young men and women can get opportunities with them. So that has been my new crusade, encouraging young people to try and set up their own businesses. Because if you don't set them up now, who are you waiting to set up these businesses for us before we get employed? So these are the things that we are trying to encourage more men and women. We've giving them some support to do that as well.
I asked because your contender told me yesterday that it's one of her focus areas, unemployment, because it's a big issue in the area. But I read for you some of the messages coming from people within your constituency. This one says, this one says Dr. Dako is doing a good work, and we should encourage him. Is from Dominic. Zach from Takoradi says, Mr. Minister, what plans do you have for our aged parents in terms of help? Do you want to take a look at that?
Yes, I'll take a look at that.
No, I mean, how are you answering that question for this gentleman?
Oh, yes, I can do so. Let me do the last one. We plan to do an old people's center at Amanfo, and we've already done the drawings already. We should have started this year, but because of the COVID, that has actually put our plans at bay a little bit. We believe to be able to start that early next year at Amanfo Bomango area. Okay.
This message doesn't add a name, but he says I should ask you about the Diabeni Agric Road.
Technically, Diabeni Agric Road is not in my constituency. Okay. But as the regional minister, I know that it has been awarded to Kingsburg, and very soon it will be coming to site. He's doing other jobs. So it's a major road, because I used to be the campaign manager for Nabu Jogati, the railway minister, in 2004. I see. So I know that area very well. But they should just be a little bit patient. The contractor will move it to site very soon.
Well, patience is what we'll see whether or not they have with their thumbs. But this one does. And I like your people. They send very straightforward messages, one line. Interesting. This one says, ask him for me whether the election of MC for Takwa is lawful or not. Again, I'm not sure this is in your area, is it?
Maybe as a regional minister, maybe I'll try an answer. The election of the DC is lawful because the meeting was called by the presiding member. The Electoral Commission conducted the election, and I was there to swear him in after he had finished, which is my duty, not the duty of the High Court. So it's lawful. And the MC has gotten this letter, and he's working, and he's doing very well.
But the people who went there, some of the assembly members who went there indicated that they were blocked from entering there. They did not get the chance to vote, and they have also called it unlawful.
Nobody has told me this. I was there. I didn't see anybody misbehaving outside.
We saw the videos. We played some of them actually.
Yeah, but nobody has come to make a complaint to me.
Okay. This message says about pavement. Tell Honorable in Adakope, is it Kope, that the pavement block...
Adakope, correct.
Yeah, it says that, to tell you that the pavement block you brought there are below standard. Tiger is sending that from Adakope.
It's not true. It's 50 newtons. You can go and check. And it's very well.
So let's talk about the key issues that you believe will impede your ability to win this election. Do you see any?
Like,
I'm asking you. I don't know. You must have done your SWOT analysis.
Not at all. I think that I'm cruising to victory because I've built a good relationship with my people. We've worked together for the last years, over 10 years, and they keep trusting in me because they know that I'm loyal and I keep my promises.
Okay, some few messages, then we'll call it a wrap. And whilst we call it a wrap, I'll give you the opportunity, about 30 seconds, for you to speak to your constituents or speak to the people in your area, convince them to vote for you. So the messages here says, good afternoon. Please ask the minister what he has done about the young man who created the sanitization tunnel, I don't know what it is, in a bid to fight COVID-19. The project would have created, is it COVID or cover? He writes cover. I'm thinking he wants to say COVID-19. This project would have created employment for the youth in your constituency.
Yes, the sanitization tunnel, I think that, is it the smaller one or the bigger one? Because what I've seen is the automatic water.
It doesn't say. He's just saying that, what are you doing to make sure that at least that can be a form of, or a source of employment?
But I've not seen the sanitization tunnel in Takoradi. What I've seen a picture of is the automatic one that you use in washing your hands. Yes. And I bought even 2 of them, one in my house and then one at the party office. So that's what I'm currently using. The one that you use your leg to pump instead of using your hand to open the tap.
But how does that help to create jobs? Because perhaps you want to invest
but I've
in
not
the
seen
creation
it.
of
How can I make a comment? I've not seen that one. But if I see it, maybe I can take a decision on it.
You see. This message says, good afternoon. Please ask my MP. Please ask my MP whether he still stands by his action depriving 22, I don't know, AM, okay, assembly members from voting. So back to Takwan Serime, that will be the final question on issue that I pick from the text on that election. He says, please tell him that NPP will lose Takwan Serime's seat. Do you want to react to that?
But we'll win, NPP will win. We're even going to add more votes. Last time we gave the NDC a difference of 19,000. We are going to increase it because we are doing what the Taka people want us to do for them.
George Ephraim says, Mr. Minister, good work done. What are your plans for tourism in Tadi?
Oh, I believe that you all are aware that I've been promoting tourism very big. This year, we had wanted to be the #1 tourism destination in Ghana. Unfortunately, COVID, we couldn't bring in some of our numbers. But like you know, I've been promoting our Fancy Festival, which is at the end of the year. And I believe that before we get into December, we should be fine with COVID, and then we can go out in our numbers like we usually do. We are also working a lot on our fort and castles. Our Insulin Zoo, we are trying to set up a new interim management committee to manage it well. And I believe that we should be able to draw in a lot of numbers into Takoradi this year after the COVID has subsided. I've seen that in Europe, other places, they've started opening up a little bit. So we are working seriously.
Okay.
Last year, December, we opened up Monkey Hill during the Christmas. We are preparing the place so that we can open it up again this year as well for people to visit.
I want to wrap up the conversation, but I mean the question.
I can see you're enjoying the conversation.
No, the
maybe
question.
we should give you more time.
We would need more time, but not for today. Except that the people in Takoradi constituency seem very interested in this because I'm getting many messages within record time compared to other constituencies that I have dealt with. And I want to wrap up. I need to. I've run out of time. But someone is asking about the Esipon Stadium.
Oh, the Sipon Stadium, we've started actually renovating the place now. Rehabilitation have started. And I strongly believe that in the next 12 months, we should finish with it. We know that the roof ripped off is being replaced, generator issues, seating issues, and we are going to get our hands off it very soon in the next 12 months.
And what about the traffic lights on Anaji in Takofu Road?
Oh, they've installed some traffic lights. If we are having problems with them, then maybe it has not come to our notice. We'll look at it. In fact, I've also commissioned the Takoradi Technical University to design our own traffic lights for the region. And they brought a prototype to me before the COVID. So when they get back to school, I believe that they'll be coming up with the numbers, the rare cash that we need to invest in the prototype that the university have developed. In fact, they are doing two things for us, and they themselves also added even the sewing of nose mask to fight COVID to support the regional administration. So we are working in collaboration with the university so that our traffic light will be produced in Ghana and installed in Takoradi for us to use. So when there are difficulties with them, we can repair them ourselves, yes. But they brought the initial design with the prototype, and we asked them to get us the figures for the real one. So the COVID came and the school was closed.
Sounds interesting. Do you think that the fact that someone can even contest you is it's any form of indictment on the work that you have done so far?
Oh, how can that be?
It's a question.
How can that be? My last election, I went unopposed. My first one, there was an election. Second one, there was an election. And the third one, and every time I vote, it's increasing. So it has never been an indictment. I've never thought of it that way. This is democracy. People have to participate. So if she's participating, I will come it. But I'll beat her in the race. I know that for a fact. So that's not an indictment at all. Not at all.
Okay. I'll give you 30 seconds, sir. I think I'm having a barrage of questions because you also double as the regional minister. So people are really concerned.
So some of them are jumping somewhere. Okay.
Exactly. They're really interested to know what you're doing about this or that. But I've run out of time. So 30 seconds is for you, free of charge. Convince these people to keep you in the seat.
Yes. I say hi to all my delegates, my polling station executives that I've worked with over the last 11 years. We've built a good relationship. There's no animosity between myself and anybody in my constituency. I'm fine with you. Because of you, I'm always there every Saturday in the house. And we do our own thing. And I believe that the relationship that we built, in the same way I've always been loyal and delivered what I've promised. I know that I believe in you, the delegates. I know you are going to also support me in this election come Saturday 20th for us to win and win very big and make merry in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
All right, I'm sure they're saying amen to it. Those who are watching you and who want to maintain you there. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you too.
Kwabena Ochredako is the Member of Parliament for Takoradi constituency. He's been contended by a woman who we spoke to yesterday. She is poised to take the seat or to snatch the seat out of his hands. And he says he's cruising to victory. He says he will beat her hands down. Let's see how that goes. And if you're in Takoradi, continue your interaction with us. This is The Pulse with me, Gifty Ando Apia, the set for election headquarters today. Welcome back. JoyNews visit to 5 districts and 8 communities in the Oti region has revealed that despite government's attempts to improve water situations in these communities, demand, supply and access to potable water is a major challenge. Various human activities are impeding free access to free potable water supply, as announced by the president a couple of months ago. Many residents either do not have access or would have to queue up for it. Oti regional correspondent Peter Seno has more in this report.
JoyNews visit to 8 communities in 5 districts revealed that despite various interventions being put in place by government to ensure access to potable water supply in the wake of COVID-19, constant supply and access is a major challenge. Since the announcement by the president a couple of months ago, demand has been on the increase. However, regular supply is hampered by various human activities in some communities. In Damanko, for instance, we are told residents use the free water supplied for building and construction. Power fluctuations and other human activities such as sand winning along the river banks pose a major threat to constant supply. Salom is one of the men in charge of the facility here.
Here, the power supply is very poor. Let me use the word very poor because it's like somebody is controlling some switch in the house. You turn it off, turn it on. And our pumps, they have high voltage. So anytime the current is even low, just like last week, you cannot even pump water. You cannot do anything at all. That's why it's as if they say we are rationing water, but we are not rationing water. Before this time, the free water issue, we were supplying water adequately to Damanko, Pasasi, and other 10 communities. As we speak, if you look far and you see they are winning sand over there. Because of that, instead of us using one sack of alum, we bought alum, let's say 20 bags. That was on the 6th of May. By now, we are done. There's no alum again.
This pipe was choked by silt and had to be cut. This system, we are told, serves 13 communities. Michael Jato is the Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. He has been visiting some water installations in the region.
But because of the free water for all by His Excellency the President, there has been increase in demand for water. People are using it for other unapproved purposes, like using it to mix their mud and use it for their structures. And those who are supposed to go to the lake and fetch those raw water for irrigation purposes have all resorted into the use of the treated water for other purposes that is not meant for drinking. And for that matter, there's serious demand on water. We want to use this opportunity to appeal to our brothers and sisters that this is a time of COVID. We want people to have potable drinking water. We want people to have access to water. That is why, through the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, we've come out with some meter so that people will have water in their homes as part of the extension to the program. So we want to appeal to the people of the community to actually apply for the meter so that at least they will have water in their homes. So we want to urge the residents of the area to help us with the sand winning and all other activities that is making the water a bit turbid.
The situation in other districts is not very different as residents continue to demand increased supply and access. Peter Senu for JoyNews.
So we stay in the Oti region and we understand that there's a distribution of NIA cards there. Peter has visited about 10 NIA distribution centers in 2 districts and reports low turnout and availability of cards for collection, among others. Peter joins me with more. Hello, Peter.
Hi, Gifty.
List for us once again the issues, what you found on the ground.
Yes, I've visited 11 centers in 2 districts this morning to monitor how the NIA card distribution, the Ghana card distribution has been going. And generally, there's been low turnout. People have spoken to say they are even not aware that there's distribution ongoing. And so generally, it's been characterized by low turnout, no cards for people to collect. Centers that I've visited, people have been there. There are no cards for them to collect. Meanwhile, their names are on roll to have registered.
But Peter, we understand that the NIA indicated they had called off the distribution process. It started anywhere in the OT region?
Well, that I do not know. Where I went today, there is activity. Centers are distributing cards to registrants.
So low turnout and availability of cars for the collection, despite people having their names on the list. Late arrival of cards for distribution. So essentially, some of the cards arrived to be distributed, and this has been going on for the past 2 days.
Exactly, but it was supposed to have started yesterday, but we understand that the officials who went for the cards at the regional capital Dambaya yesterday, and so today, though day 2 is the day 1 of official distribution of cards in the Ophir region.
Peter, thank you for that update. We'll keep our eyes on that particular story. Peter Seno is our OT regional correspondent. Now, a team of 11 environmental workers is carrying out supervised burial of 5 persons who died of COVID-19. The 5 add to 16 other burials already undertaken by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly's Public Health Directorate, leaving 27 outstanding bodies to be disposed of. 48 persons have so far died from the disease, with more than 10,000 others infected. Director of Public Health at the Assembly, Florence Kuchi, tells JoyNews as of Thursday, June 11, today, 32 families had registered with the AMA to have their dead buried.
It's another day out here, our coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic here in Ghana. Now, we here at JoyNews have brought you comprehensive coverage. We've been to isolation centers, we've been to treatment facilities, we've spoken to people who have had the virus. We have also spoken to people who have survived the disease and are back in the society doing so well. Today we are here at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly offices. We are going to be undertaking a very important exercise in the entire coronavirus management projects. Now, we are going to be following the AMA health officials. They are going to embark on a burial service or a burial ceremony for individuals who have died of COVID-19. Now, this is one of the areas many scientists and many experts have said could be a very thorny area if not properly handled. But the officials here at the AMA tell us that this is a heavily supervised project to ensure that nothing is left to chance. Come with me, let's begin this particular exploration as to how bodies from COVID-19 are disposed of. Here, there's some exercise going on right now. I would quickly want to engage the officials. They'll tell us exactly what they are doing. I see some measurement cups, I see water. So what exactly are we witnessing here?
Okay, thank you very much. This one we are mixing for chlorine, for the one that we use for article spraying, the one that we use on the spraying on the body. And we have to measure it and do it so that we can get 0.5 concentration at the end. So we measure 500 milligrams of the chlorine, which is the bleach, and we add it to the 16 liters of water, which is the full dosage of the machine. So when we use that one, then that one will give us the 0.5 concentration that we want for the article, which is the body.
I've been joined now by Director of Public Health here at the AMA, Madame Florence Kuchi. I'm sure you all remember Madame Florence Kuchi because of a Joy Clean Ghana campaign. She's a friend to the station. She's going to just briefly tell us what we are seeing here and what today's exercise is all about. Thank you very much, Madame Kuchi.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you, Kabla.
Okay, so today, just briefly tell us what we are going to do and then what we see in the background.
Okay, thank you, Kabla. As part of the Environmental Health Officer's mandate during an outbreak of infectious disease, not only in Ghana but worldwide, the World Health Organization protocol that they have spelled, each officer from the curative to the preventive aspect has a role to play. The doctors and the nurses play the tedious role of taking care of the patients. And then the environmental health, that is the preventive officers. It is our duty, should any of the patients passes on through the disease, it is our duty to give the person a dignified burial. As part of our work, we are preparing, as you can see behind, they are mixing chlorine. That is a chemical we use during the burials. So we have it in 2 parts. They are mixing chlorine. We have the 0.5 that we use to disinfect the bodies before we place them inside the body bag. And then we do the disinfection right from the mortuary till the burial site. And then we have the 0.05 that we use to clean ourselves. After any contact we have, we clean ourselves. We clean ourselves 1,000 times before we finish all the burials. So it is part of trying to put in place the infection prevention controls measures that have been spelled out for us. Yeah.
It's interesting for me. I am curious to find out how all of this unfolds. But then I see, how many members of the team are you deploying for today's exercise? How many bodies are we burying, for example?
So today's exercise, we are burying 5 bodies. And then today's team, we have 11. We have 11 people that are going to do this work. So we will dispatch part of them to the cemetery and part of them to the mortuary. They will go and work, place the bodies, those that are donating body bags, let me say coffins. We put the body in the body bag before we place them inside the coffin. We don't just place the raw body in the coffin. We put them in body bags before we place them in the coffin. Then there will be somebody to escort the bodies from the first site to the cemetery for the burial team to also start doing the burial. Then they will move from the other hospital to the next hospital to go and pick the others, because the bodies are not all at one place. Yeah.
Finally, before we move on from here, we know that 48 people have died so far. And will you just briefly give us a breakdown? How many have you buried so far? How many are still outstanding, and etc.?
Yes, so Accra Metropolitan Assembly, we have registered 32 families have come to register for burial of their bereaved families. And out of the 32, as at last week, it was 27. But as we stand here today, it's 32. We buried 16 for now, and today we are burying 5.
Thank you very much, Madam Florence Kuchi. So it promises to be a very revealing exercise. I am particularly curious. It's something I have not experienced before, so it's going to be new for me. But just stay with us. We'll go through all the processes right here with you. So this is the 37 Military Hospital. A short time ago, the AMA environmental workers were at the morgue to take 3 bodies. And so what is happening now is that they're going to move from here to the Ridge Hospital, where 2 more bodies will be retrieved, and then we will continue the process. Mr. Asitanga, Joseph Asitanga, is supervising this particular exercise today. We have just come from the 37 morgue. Let me just allow him to tell us exactly what went down there.
Today is another day. It's a challenge day for the country, a challenge environment for everybody. And today is a day, this is the 5th burial for COVID-19 victims. And burials are strictly supervised and monitored by the Environmental Health Department of the Metropolitan Assembly of Accra. So today we're burying 5 bodies at a go. This is a set of 3 bodies from here, 37 Military Hospital here. We're moving to the Awudome Cemetery to give them a befitting burial there. From there, we're going for another body at the Rich Hospital. That is 2 bodies there, and do the same to them.
So, Joseph Asitanga there. We are going to quickly go to the Awudome Cemetery, where the burial is going to happen proper. And then you stick with us here on JoyNews. We'll bring you all the details as it unfolds. So the officials of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Environmental Health Department are currently in a convoy with the bodies of 3 individuals who succumbed to COVID-19. And as you can see, it is we're moving at breakneck speed, because the officials who are supervising this exercise in their PPEs must be suffocating by now, because they've been in the PPE for quite some time, more than an hour. And so we are blitzing through the streets of Accra, headed for the Awudome Cemetery. You can hear from the background the sirens blaring, the hearses and the ambulances. And this is an exercise being heavily supervised by the Public Health Directorate of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. So this is the Awudome Cemetery here in Accra, where the bodies of the persons infected with COVID are going to be interred. And a short time ago, the hearses and the ambulance brought the bodies here. We met, some relatives of the individuals who had succumbed to the virus present here. They are standing, on the road shoulders, looking on as the environmental workers go ahead with the exercise to bury the bodies of these individuals. It is a very, laborious process, I have to say. And so we are going to go in there and observe for ourselves exactly how this process of burial is conducted here at the Awudome Cemetery. Come with us. Inside the Awudome Cemetery proper, the dugouts have been created. As you can see from behind me, 2 coffins, which has the individuals who have succumbed to the virus. That is where they are going to be, interred. And this is, again, I have to stress, a very supervised process by environmental workers, so that they leave nothing to chance. I have seen more than 10 of them here at the moment, heavily doffed in their PPEs with their knapsack sprays and their chlorine, in the buckets to ensure that this process is seamless. In a short time, the family members are going to be coming here. I have to say that they do not want to be filmed for obvious reasons because of the issues of stigma that we've been speaking about. And so this is a very quiet process, I have to say. And as you can see in the shots right now, after they put the coffins, they are chlorinating again. Every step of the way, I have to say that they disinfect themselves, so they leave nothing, absolutely nothing to chance. So what you see there right now are the environmental officials removing a 3rd coffin from the hearse to add to the 2 that are already here. So that burial process will be quickly conducted. Again, this is heavily supervised by environmental workers. This is certainly not an easy job, if you ask me, because if you have been in a PPE like I am before, you would appreciate that wearing this and staying in it for more than 30 minutes can be a chore. And these people have been wearing this for more than 2 hours, just ensuring that these bodies are properly disposed of. I will attempt to get a quick word from Mr. Asitanga just before they finish this particular phase of the exercise. Mr. Asitanga, yes. We see this is not an easy exercise at all.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a challenge. And that is a call to duty by the Environmental Health Department of Accra Metro Assembly, Metro Public Health. So you can see the hectic work that we're going through here. This is not only today. We started this from the last 7th day up to today, and we are still on it. Lot is there. We persistently carry this exercise every week, twice every week. And today we're burying 5 at a go. We're going to bury more. Saturday we have another burial. And it's going to continue and continue. We only want to alert the public. The purpose of this is to tell the public, every family member, every Ghanaian, the COVID is there. The COVID is real. And therefore protect yourself, observe the national protocol measures to protect yourself, protect your family, and let's protect the country image as a whole. Because if we allow and sit and say, no, the disease is not there, you don't know who is the next person, and you wouldn't like to be here. So everybody must be up to task that we protect ourselves and protect the family.
I see this is not easy. You are sweating. I am suffocating because I've not done this before, but you people do this every time. So that's you just heard from Inspector Joseph Asitanga there. This certainly is not child's play. All the officials who are here and doing this have committed to do this for God and country, and you see them doing what they do, wearing the PPEs for these long hours just because they have to do the job. And that is what we are seeing here, witnessing at first hand the burial process of persons who are inflicted. So there you see lay 3 caskets, 3 coffins of 3 individuals, breadwinners possibly, husbands, fathers, brothers, uncles, just lay there in those coffins, having been struck by this particular virus, which we have been speaking about for some time now. People seem to doubt the existence of this virus, giving all sorts of explanations and myths why they disbelieve that the virus is real. But you can see these are 3 people who have succumbed and are going to be buried. So that is the situation here at the Awudome Cemetery. So you can see that the coffins have been lowered into the graves.
They can see, they will zoom it.
The first one has just been lowered in. They're going to lower the second also into the grave. And as you can see for yourself, this certainly is not an easy process. And these officials of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly have committed to doing this for God and country. And they've been at it for some time, as you heard Inspector Asitanga speak to us a short time ago about. So they will do that, and then do the third.
One, two.
So it's just been lowered into the grave. The second one has been lowered into the grave. And then the third. So a team of 11 plus the Inspector Asitanga himself, 12, supervising this particular process every step of the way. And right after the coffins have been lowered into the graves, the family members, a few of them, will be allowed here to observe, of course, their last respects or pay their final respects to their relatives. You were telling me about some challenge you have when you are doing this particular exercise.
Yes, the burial. The challenges we have is enormous. These bodies, they are infectious bodies, which we don't have to use the public haste in transporting the bodies to this infectious zone. We have made appeal to the state, the government, to support us with a movable and befitting double cabin pickups that we can always carry these bodies safely to the burial site. You can see that the movement through where we will bring the bodies to is a serious challenge. There is no adequate space for movement coming into the place. Is difficult. And the haze has to stop at the end of the entrance. The officers have to carry this body. Imagine how heavy it is. With these 3 stumps, there's the possibility and high risk of infection to the officers. And therefore, if we have a good transport system that this body is placed in and it moves closer to the grave space, we will have easy way of removing the body and placing it safely.
How about even some of the officials who were in the buckets? I mean, this all adds to the whole transport system.
Risk. You can see that when we were transporting the bodies from the mortuary, because of inadequate transport facility for the department, to be able to adequately transport the officers safely to the burial site, you see that they were all hanged in the bucket. Very serious risk, and even poses a serious stigma to the public, because you see the traffic we were moving through, which is not allowed, that the public should see that this is the regalia. We are going with the COVID that, though it tells the public to know that the COVID is there, that we need to be safe with the officers who are responsible for the burial. We are appealing, with all apologies, we are appealing whoever is responsible to support the Metro Public Health of AMA, the Environmental Health Department, Metro Public Health Department, with a movable truck, quick equipment, double cabin pickup, very special, of which we can easily transport these bodies here. We do disinfection, we do the burial, which we have no any form of equipment to transport and carry all these duties as we are here today. We have to improvise the means of bringing the bodies here. We have to improvise the means of laying the bodies to rest. We are appealing to government. We are ready. We are called to duty. We are called to carry out our mandate, but we need to be resourced.
Thank you. You heard the very passionate Inspector Asitanga there. I mean, these people are giving off their all, for the good of the country, for God and country, and all they say that they need to be adequately resourced to be able to carry out this particular mandate that they have given up themselves to in help or Mother Ghana as we battle this COVID-19. So you can see some wreaths also laid there. In a short time, the family members will come, lay the wreaths on the tombs, and then pay their final respects to their departed.
Komla Adam with that outstanding report there from location. Now, the police have discovered an illegal cannabis cultivating enclave in the Iswejaman district of the eastern region. According to them, the enclave nestled between Boso and Peki around the Tom Mountains measured hundreds of acres. It took a joint operation by the National and Regional Drug Law Enforcement Unit of the Criminal Investigation Department, the CID, Special Weapons and Tactics SWAT teams, and the Peki Divisional Police Command to discover this enclave. There is more in this report filed by Fred Kwame Asari.
The enclave appeared to be a safe haven for the cultivation of cannabis. The entire land area around the Tome Mountain in between Peki and Busu is covered with several acres of cannabis plantation. Each plantation is demarcated with rows of corn and has a hamlet and compound which provides space for resting and processing of the harvested cannabis. The director in charge of the Drug Law Enforcement Unit at the CID headquarters, Superintendent David Selom Chukbuche, led a team of about 60 officers to destroy the cannabis plantations.
In fact, the whole of this enclave, it appears, has been abused for this purpose. We hope that they'll change their mind to cultivate food crops such as maize, beans, cassava, and so on and so forth. Looking at the enclave, I can say we have over hundreds of acres, because that mountain that you see, some of our men already, our intel guys have gone there. So, I mean, we have to do all that and go to all other places. So I would say we destroy about 20%. And even that, we have to deploy drones. We deployed drones, and that assisted us even to discover that. Much of the work is done by manually, and we have some motorized cutters that also help us to go that far.
He indicated that the investigations led to the arrest of 2 persons suspected to be involved in the cultivation of cannabis.
We work with information, and our operations are largely fed with information gathering, processing them into intelligence, and then we would convert them into actionable ones. Okay, so yeah, so it is one of those processes that we pick information, and then it was very successful. We had an individual first, and that led to the arrest of second person, and we are still working hard to arrest everybody behind this.
The Narcotics Control Commission Bill of 2019 was passed into law earlier this year, paving way for the formation of the Narcotics Control Board to oversee the industrial use of narcotic substances such as cannabis. However, Superintendent Chukbuche indicated the law does not allow the possession and use of cannabis for recreational purposes.
Or everybody interested in the cultivation of cannabis, that they should exercise patience. When the things are put in place properly, they can apply to the Ministry of Interior, and then all other due diligence will be done, and then they'll be permitted. So their activity is properly regularized, instead of always being at the wrong side of the law, and forcing us also to enforce the law to the letter. But the law still disallow the use of cannabis for recreational purpose, abuse and things like that. So that is different from the authorization that may be given if you apply for a permit or license to indulge in this business. Many people think that the new law allows people to possess cannabis anyhow, it's free for all, you can smoke it, you can do whatever you like. No, we should all get acquainted with the law, the new law, and then get educated on it so that we don't fall foul of the law. I think it's very important that we take notice of this.
The farmers blocked the access road to the enclave at 2 sections with an electricity pole and cement blocks to protest their displeasure on the police destroying their cannabis plantations. Fred Kwame Asari, JoyNews, Busu.
And before we go, BA authorities, I beg your pardon, at the East Municipal Authority, a hospital are advising Ghanaians to seek early treatment for ailments that have symptoms similar in nature with COVID-19. The facility is the country's biggest treatment center with a capacity of 100 beds, but rising number of critically ill patients testing positive at the facility has also put pressure on it. He was speaking to journalists after receiving 20,000 cedis worth of items from the Bible Society, the Scripture Union, the Ghana Challenge Enterprise. The items included 10 boxes of the Good News Bibles, Christian tracts, and other reading materials to help the COVID patients recover from trauma. They also donated face masks and other PPEs to the hospital. We'll hear from Dr. Odro Mensah shortly, but the donors speak about their gesture.
With Challenge Enterprise and Bible Society of Ghana to also contribute widow's mite, as we will put it, in terms of Bible reading, study materials, daily guide, and some gospel tracts, Bibles, and some PPEs and hand sanitizers to help with those who are unfortunately have been infected by the disease. And we're trusting that in this very difficult time, God will really come by them, and He is the ultimate healer. And we're trusting that as they read the Bible with the aid of the daily guide and also reading the tracts, they'll be inspired, they will have hope to live. And we're trusting that the Lord by grace will touch them. The Lord will heal them. The Lord will strengthen them and encourage them in this very difficult moment. Thank you.
We have come to this facility at the East Medical Center as a team, Challenge Enterprises of Ghana, Bible Society and Scripture Union, to support what others are doing to alleviate the pain, the suffering and the anxieties that people have with this pandemic. We brought items, Christian literature, PPEs and all other things that relate to treatments that is offered in this place. And we are trusting God that as we give in encouragement also to the staff who are working here, they would also be giving of their lives in service to bring about healing in many, many ways to the people, both trauma, internal healing, and also the physical healing as well. We encourage others in society to help, to support this kind of effort, show love and give to help other people in this era. In Jesus' name, amen.
And we certainly shouldn't forget the religious part of this fight. Dr. Ebenezer Odro Mensah thanked the donors and said whilst health workers are working hard to ensure no one dies from the infection, the general public ought to do their part by observing the protocols and also reporting symptoms on time.
For this kind gesture, you brought us some Christian literature to read and inspire ourselves. You brought us some hand sanitizers, soap, toiletries, so that we can also protect ourselves from infections. Again, you brought us face masks, which is really critical in infection prevention when it comes to the management of COVID-19. We pray that the Lord will continue to keep this group, and that for the patients and staff who are going to benefit from this, God's strength will be manifested in our lives. And we'll continue to see more and more people recover from this COVID-19 infection, as well as see fewer infections in Ghana. But in so doing, it's important that we continue to maintain the infection prevention control practices, using our face masks, washing our hands frequently, not touching our faces without washing our hands, keeping to the social distance protocols. When we do all these things, we will see fewer and fewer cases. Now, what we realize is more people are getting ill from COVID-19. We used to see a lot more asymptomatic persons in the past, but now we are seeing more symptomatic people now, which is a worry. It shows that more people are staying home till they are really ill before they present to the health facility and are diagnosed with COVID. So again, if you are home and you have a fever, you have a cough, you have difficulty breathing, please don't just stay at home or buy paracetamol from the drugstore. Get to a health facility get the appropriate clinical diagnosis, and if it's COVID, we can start treatment early so that you can have a full recovery. I want to avoid deaths from COVID in Ghana, and we know that with our collective efforts, this will be achieved. So once again, thank you very much, and we believe that we'll be seeing you again sometime soon. Sure. Thank you.
Kind gesture there, and I hope that those who are on admission will look at the Bible and let it minister to them in these hard times. There is more news at myjoyonline.com. If you do log on, click on our stories and share it with your friends and family so they are updated on what's happening. My name is Gifty Amdo Apia, and this is where we wrap up the show.